Hey, happy Friday. Thanks for joining us on this Friday for your forecast. Finally, Friday, right? Congratulations, you made it to the end of the work week. It felt like a pretty long week because we're right ahead of the holidays. Now, we'll talk about your holiday weather here in just a few minutes, but your weather for now through the weekend will be a little bit cold to our New England states. We've got that cold air from Canada tracking to the east. We've got a pretty warm start to the Christmas work week. Record warm temperatures are expected for a good portion of the country. And then we've got wet weather after Christmas. It looks like we're going to stay in a pretty active pattern, bringing in both rain and snow to a good portion of the U.S. And that could make holiday travel a little tricky. So we'll be talking about that, exactly where we expect the best chances for wet weather. All right, taking a look at what we saw yesterday. Yesterday's storm reports were non-existent, right? No severe weather yesterday. However, we did see all of that snow anywhere from Wisconsin all the way out to Michigan, and that's going to continue to track to the east yesterday, as we saw, where snowfall totals were more sparse the farther south that you went, but a lot more promising farther up to the north. And that's going to continue to track to the east today, bringing in some really good snowfall totals for some of those upper elevation areas like in West Virginia. However, if you are farther up to the north, you probably saw maybe some of that lake effect snow closer to the Great Lakes. We saw better chances for snow farther up to the north and farther into the Great Lakes. Now, what about those cooler temperatures? Well, yesterday we saw a big cool down from all of that air moving in from Canada into the northern portion of the U.S., but we can also see exactly where that cold air is across the central and eastern portions of the U.S. as well. Tomorrow, that's going to be moving to the east, okay? So the East Coast temperatures are well below average for this time of the year. This map shows temperatures above or below average. So if you look out to the west, we're above average out here. You can see the reds and even some pinks start to slide in there, and yellows, okay? So what this means is that doesn't mean temperatures are in the 70s. No, it just means that temperatures are above average for this time of the year. Tomorrow out to the east, temperatures will be below average. Right in the center of the U.S., about average for this time of the year through the plains and Mississippi River states. All right, taking a look at current conditions for that cold front coming through. There's that cold front that's pushing all of that cold air out to the east. You can see the New England states, the Midwest, all the way up to the Northeast are bringing in some rain and snow, exactly what we were talking about earlier with all that snow moving in yesterday, sticking around for today as it slowly moves off to the east here. We also have some wet weather farther out to the west, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Have some wet weather off the coast, the east coast here as well, from a low pressure system. And we've got two different areas that we're watching for this snow. You've got that snow that's moving through the northeast, like our New England states, and then you've got snow that's moving a little bit farther down to the south into places like the Virginias and Kentucky, just in southern Ohio right now. Pretty dry farther out to the south. Florida is dry right now. We've also got Oklahoma, Texas, pretty dry as well. We've got more showers and storms out to the west, our Pacific Northwest states, showing that just constant round after round of moisture moving through here, but that's not uncommon for this time of the year. You know that Seattle has that history of being just wet all year round, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So no surprises there. Temperatures, however, pretty cold up in Minneapolis. We've got 16 degrees up in Minneapolis, 34 in Fort Wayne, 24 in Kansas City, a little bit warmer as we head farther down to the south, 38 here in Oklahoma City. So I think that's a bit cooler than what we were yesterday at this time. What about that winter weather? Well, here are your current winter weather alerts highlighted in purple. These are your winter weather advisories. So an additional 6 inches of snow is possible here, and I think wind gusts up to 35 miles an hour. Now, I think if we see those wind gusts go a little bit higher, a little bit stronger, then you probably will see more winter storm warnings in effect. But as of now, we just have that winter weather advisory in effect right now. Now look at this mess that's coming into our Midwest and New England states. This is your future radar. Here's one of our models showing that we're going to have a mix of snow and rain anywhere from Ohio down to Kentucky and the Virginias. And then we've got more of that snow, just pure snow, not as much of a wintry mix, farther up to our New England states. Now, you can see exactly where we're seeing that snow change into rain, change back to snow. Most likely along the higher elevations, that's where you're going to see snow, and then the lower elevations, rain. However, we still can't rule out maybe a brief dusting on our lower elevations here, but your snowfall totals really won't be terribly impressive here, okay? 1, 2 inches, maybe if you're lucky, you could get up to 5 inches, but again, that's in the higher elevations, right? Taking you farther up to our New England states, we've got that mix from mainly snow closer to the Great Lakes to a change over to rain. The farther out you are, the closer you are to the East Coast. Look at all of that mess. It's such a mess in the Atlantic right now. Good thing we don't have to worry about that, but there's a low pressure system out there that's causing a ton of rain just off the East Coast. Now, we're not talking about severe weather today. We're talking more about that winter weather. Oftentimes, we don't get a ton of hail in December anyway, so we're not terribly surprised by this. But once again, no significant hail expected today. This is just something that's probably going to be pretty common over the next few weeks. No significant hail expected today. Taking a look at that future radar for the West Coast, now it's going to continue to rain not only today, not only tomorrow, but now we're getting into Sunday as well. Along the West Coast, you can see all of that rain coming into Portland, Seattle, even as far south as San Francisco. Now this looks a little bit more impressive by Saturday and Sunday than what we see today. You know, just some light showers today, maybe some heavier rainfall totals by Saturday and Sunday as this continues to track to the east into places like Idaho and Montana. You're going to see better chances for snow, especially, as you've heard me say it before, in the upper elevations. Now let's talk about that cold weather. We were talking about cold air from Canada, right? Coming in from Canada, we call this an Alberta clipper because this cold air starts in Alberta, Canada. It just barely skims over the northern side of the US and then comes up our New England states, tracks off to the north most of the time. It's called a clipper because way back in the day, we used to have these really fast ships called clippers. So it gets its name from the fast-moving nature of this low pressure system. So oftentimes this is a pocket of cold air bringing wet and wintry weather to the north and northeast, and it's very, very fast moving, okay? So that cold air, you can kind of see it slowly start to shift up to our New England states by Sunday and Monday, but then it's out of here by Monday and Tuesday, and we are expecting a warm up as we head into the later portion of this weekend and early next week. Look at all of those yellows and oranges and greens starting to move into places like Houston, Dallas, and Oklahoma City. Now this will move in by Sunday. We'll see a brief warm up for our southern states, and then we'll see a better warm up out to the south and east by Monday. And we'll talk about that warm up here pretty soon. I was talking about those record high temperatures into the 50s and 60s by early next week, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Taking a look at that future radar for Saturday and Sunday out to the east, I mentioned that this snow is going to be a very fast moving system, right? It's out of the East Coast by Saturday afternoon. Saturday afternoon, we're dry, so we're pretty wet with that wintry weather today, but pretty dry by tomorrow. Minneapolis, maybe a few snow showers. Could you see those? Just a little dusting in the upper corners of Minnesota. But then, as we mentioned earlier, that wet weather shifts out to the west. So that's where we're watching for the most activity over the weekend. What about your snowfall totals from this clipper? Well, mainly better chances for higher snowfall totals today down to the Virginias, especially in the upper elevations here. That's where you could get up to about 6 inches of snow. And then closer to our Great Lakes. So as you get into the western sides of New York, if you could get some lake effect snow to start, that's where you're going to see your higher snowfall totals. Still nothing terribly impressive here. It's going to be in between about 2 to 6 inches, something that you can absolutely deal with, especially this time of the year. Sometimes we get feet and feet and feet of snow. Not right now. That is not the type of system that we're talking about. Again, this is just too fast of a system here. What about those temperatures? I mentioned that temperatures are going to cool down up to the north, but then warm up down to the south. Let's talk about that cool down first. Temperatures are 4 degrees below zero out in Minneapolis. You're going to warm up just a little bit as that system moves off to the east, and then we're going to see those colder temperatures in our New England states, by Saturday and Sunday. Look, we're down to the single digits in Detroit on early Sunday morning. And by Sunday afternoon, that warm-up starts out to the south. So we've got temperatures into the upper 50s in Denver, ooh, really nice, 50s in Rapid City, 46 in Kansas City, and 50s and 60s out in Oklahoma and Texas. Heading farther down to the south and east, by Monday, that's whenever temperatures return to the 50s and 60s out in Memphis and Birmingham. We talked about that warm-up earlier, and you can see it coming to fruition by at least Monday, if not even before that on Sunday. So that kicks off our warm work week for, I guess it's really not a work week, because you're probably hanging out with your family for Christmas, or hopefully you are. I hope that you get to see your family a little bit over your Christmas week. December 25th through the 29th, we're looking at temperatures well above average for this time of the year. So how do you read this map? What does this actually mean? The darker the red colors are, the higher the likelihood to be warmer than normal. So let's say your warm temperature, your high temperature for the day is in the upper 40s here in Oklahoma City. We have a really good chance of above average temperatures, above the upper 40s through December 25th and the 29th, which is great for all of those new presents that your kids get. They can go outside, they can play with those. What about the rain chances? Okay, here's what we really need to be watching for, because you get warm weather and you get wet weather, and you're probably talking about strong to severe storms. Now, we don't have a risk, okay? We don't have a risk for severe storms. However, could we see a chance for thunderstorms, wet weather, lightning and thunder around Christmas through the plains? It's definitely possible. So the better chances, just Christmas or just after Christmas, to see wet weather, maybe even potentially strong to severe storms, will be from the 25th to the 29th, anywhere from Louisiana to Oklahoma, including Oklahoma City here, all the way up to Iowa and maybe even portions of Tennessee. You get that wet weather, you get that warm weather. It's possible, but we are still too far out to exactly know what's going to happen. Of course, we'll be watching it for you, and we'll be mapping it if anything pops up. So make sure that you hit that follow button on wherever you're watching your forecast from today, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Also, give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map. Call us at 855-334-4245, or send us an email at info@hailtrace.com. Head over to hailtrace.com. We just posted a brand new blog this morning talking about that tornado in California. Was that Saturday of last week? So we were talking about Saturday. I've got some confirmation. Saturday of last week, the first ever tornado warning in this area. So read that blog. It's a great read. It's a really fast read. It's really good. All right, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you back here, same time, same place for your forecast on Monday.